All right. All right, family. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hope everyone had a good Shabbat coming in. Can I be heard? Yes. Hope everyone had a good Shabbat coming in on uh on yesterday. I pray that your prep day was a good prep day. And we're getting ready to go into the lesson. So get your notepads and your pens, your papers, however you take notes. Get ready to get into the word of the Most High. If you don't know what the title of the lesson is already, it is Oppressed and Marginalized. Oppressed and marginalized. If you look around at the state of Israel, and when I say the state of Israel, I don't just mean those non-believing Israelites. I'm talking about those Israelites that claim to believe as well. They are in a very oppressive state, a state of depression, and um, our people, according to the scriptures, will be like this because of the curses, Deuteronomy 28, and because of the captivity that we would be in. And many people may not even notice. They may not notice how depressed they are because this is a feeling, or this is something that they are very used to. They're very used to being in an oppressive state or a depressive condition. It's normal to be oppressed. It's normal to be depressed. And it's somewhat strange when someone trying to come and help you out of your oppressive state, or say, hey, you can do something to raise your level of thinking or raise your spirits in order to come out of the state of depression that you're in. But many of our people, they live there. They live right there. And some of it is our own fault. A lot of it is the fault of our enemies. But we're gonna deal with today, and we're also gonna deal with this Hellite Day that's coming up. It's so-called Thanksgiving that's coming up, and see what folk are really being thankful for. They have another because the Israelites are coming out so heavy with they have another name for it now. Thanksgiving. It's called Friendsgiving or something like that. Friendsgiving or something. Anybody heard of that before? Friendsgiving.
Mm-hmm.
Friendsgiving, where they took the Thanksgiving. No, it's not Thanksgiving. It's Friendsgiving. See, you don't have to worry about coming to Thanksgiving. We ain't celebrating Thanksgiving. We just appreciating our friends. No, the devil is a lie. And the truth is not in him. You still celebrating Thanksgiving. That's the point. And I've never seen so many people mad at you because you don't want to celebrate a holiday. It's insane. And do everything within their power to try to get you to celebrate some day that the Bible has never told us to celebrate. We should be thankful every day to the Most High. To the Most High. All right. So today's lesson. oppressed and marginalized. We have the scribes in the room.
Yes.
All right, let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 29 for the scribes. Make sure everybody where you are sitting in the building, wherever you are sitting in together, make sure that there's one person with their mic on. Everyone else is closed out. We don't want any feedback on your microphones.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 29. And thou shalt grope at noonday, as the blind gropeth in darkness, and thou shalt not prosper in thy ways, and thou shalt be only oppressed and spoiled
You shall be
evermore.
only oppressed. You shall be only oppressed. Come on.
And spoiled evermore.
Uh-huh.
No man shall save thee.
So what does the Bible mean by spoiled? In this case, the Bible is saying you are only going to be oppressed and robbed.
Wow.
You're going to be robbed of your goods. You're going to be robbed of your possessions. You're going to be by force and by violence. You're going to be violently robbed. Not only is your possession is going to be taken away, but your very mind, your very state of being, your very mind, we're going to rob you of your mind because you're never going to be at ease. You're always going to be in an oppressive state, in a condition. So we have to create an environment for you to be oppressed. We have to create a system for you to be oppressed. And then we have to make you like it. We have to make you like this system. We have to make you vote on the system. I voted on a system that's going to oppress me. And I'm going to be mad at you if you don't help me vote on my oppressive system that I want. You see how silly that sounds? Give me my oppressive system, and I'm going to be angry with you if you don't put in on my oppressive state. I'm trying to get spoiled some more. And I don't mean it in a good way. I'm trying to get robbed violently. To be spoiled means to be diminished, destroyed of your quality. Let's get Lamentations 4 and 17. Lamentations 4 and 17.
Lamentations 4, verse 17. As for us, our eyes as yet failed for our vain help. In our watching, we have watched for a nation that could not save us.
Watching for Kamala Harris. We watching for Kamala Harris, and she can't save us. And many of our sisters was watching for her and just in hopes of having a quote unquote black woman, or let me say this, brown skinned woman in the White House. You watching for a nation is not going to do a damn thing for you. We didn't learn the lessons with Obama. We didn't learn them lessons. Huh? You put a brown-skinned, so-called black person in the White House, you still have a white agenda. Like Kamala Harris says, you think I'm gonna just do something only for black people? Well, you did something only for Asians. You did something only for the Koreans and Chinese and the East Indians.
Send money to Israel.
Yeah. You did something only for them. But she said, you think I'm going to do something only for black folk? Come on out there. I will be the president for everybody. No, you'll be the president of this oppressive system. This oppressive system. Let's go to Job, the 8th chapter of Job. Let's get into it. Job 8, verses 8 through 10.
Job 8 through 10. For inquire, I pray thee, of the former age, and prepare thyself to search of their fathers.
Prepare yourself for search of your fathers, because when we learn who we are, it is incumbent upon us to understand our forebears and to search out who they were, to learn from their successes, to learn from their failures. Read.
For we are but of yesterday and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow.
What? Read that part again. Read that part. Read verse 9 again.
For we are but of yesterday
We
and know
are but
nothing.
yes, we are but yesterday, meaning we are the same people, the forebears that I was talking about. We the same people. We are but yesterday, the same folk. Read.
And know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow.
Our days upon earth are a shadow. Hold that, hold Job, and let's go to Psalms 90. The 90th chapter of Psalms.
90 and what?
Psalms and the 10th, Psalms 90 and verse 10.
Psalms 90, verse 10. The days of our years are 80 years and 10.
So
And
how many, somebody tell me how many years is 80 and 10?
70.
That's 70 years, right? 80 and 10 is 70 years. 80 and 10 is 70 years. He's prophesying, listen, the number of years we promise are 80 and 10, 70 years. Read on.
And if by reason of strength they be 80 years,
80 years, how many is that?
80 years.
80 years. We promise 70 if we eat healthy, exercise. By reason of strength, mean you're healthy enough to get 10 more. You get 10 more years, that's 80. Now let's break this down in a matter of months so you can see how much of a shadow your life really is. 70 years is how many months?
840.
Is
840.
840 months is
Right.
70 years. 840 months is 70 years. That's not a lot of months. 840 months is a lot of years. Is not a lot of years. You add 10 more years to that, is what is it? 960?
Yep.
960 years by reason of months by reason of strength. Your lifespan is like this. A blink of an eye is your lifespan. Now think about all of the time you spent worried about stuff that don't matter. How many months you gonna spend worried about stuff that don't matter, arguing with folks who don't matter, or if they do matter to you, arguing with them when you could be enjoying life with them? Think about it. How much your life is but a shadow. You here today, gone tomorrow. And what matters is what you do between the time you are born, that little dash between at the graveyard is important. That dash between birth date and death date is very important. Just that little dash, because that's your lifespan, that little dash. But you worried about stuff that don't matter. You bringing up stuff that don't matter. You running up your blood pressure over stuff that don't amount to anything. What have you done with your dash? That's important. Know what I've learned? To let it go. I ain't arguing with you, especially a nigga. I'm not arguing. Mama love you, daddy love you, goodbye. Why argue? I just got a little shadow. That's all I got. That's the amount of time I got is a shadow of time. That's it. And I cannot allow my mind to become so oppressed and depressed behind frivolous things, things that don't amount to anything. It don't mean nothing. It don't enhance my life. It don't change my life. It ain't made me no money. I ain't lost no money behind. What is the problem? Goodbye. That's to anything. I ain't talking about just people. I'm talking about to anything. Goodbye to anything that's stopping you. Because our people, for some unknown reason, that's just a figure of speech. We know what the reason is. Love to stay and live in an oppressive state because you're comfortable there. I'm oppressed and I love it. I don't really know what it means to have my mind free of being depressed because I'm living in a system that taught me, it's down in my DNA, how to be oppressed. I'm comfortable here. Let's go back to Job. Let's go back to Job.
What that chapter and verse?
Job was what chapters was we at? 8? Was that 8 and 9, I think it was.
Job 8:9. For we are but of yesterday and know nothing, because our days upon earth are a shadow.
Our days upon earth are just a shadow. Verse 10.
Shall not they teach thee and tell thee and utter words out of their heart?
Come on. Was that it?
Yes, that's it.
Read it again, verse 10.
Shall not they teach thee and tell thee and utter words out of their heart?
Because we're the same spirits. We're the same spirits. We should be looking at yesteryear. We're the exact same spirits. So we'll know this is a do-over, not to make the same mistakes. We could read it and say, okay, this is what our forebears did. And this is where they failed, and this is where they succeeded. But some of us never take that time. Some of us never take that time. And right now, I want to take the time to make sure that your calling and your election is sure. Don't you be out here talking about Most High gonna look over your sin. He's not. If you sinning, change it. You got to change it. If you sinning, change it. I'm gonna say it again because I said something last week and I'm sure he bust out laughing. But I'm saying it again. When the day come, when the King come, I'm falling straight on my face. But when he heals me, I'm gonna get back up and say, which one of them you want me to kill? Because I do the killing for him. And if you've been sitting in my class the whole time, listening to me, you're still sinning, I'm going to kill you at the commandment of the king. It's the truth. I love you. But if he said you gotta go, you gotta go. I'm telling you now, stop sinning. But if you don't, that's on you. All right. A lot of us still want to celebrate this. A lot of our people still want to celebrate this hell of a day. Sadly, many of our people fall in love with this vain philosophy, and they feel. Do you know that between Thanksgiving and New Year's are the most oppressive times of the year? Yes, it is the most oppressive times of the year. It is the time when suicides go up. It is the time because people like to look over their depression. They're living in a depressed state and they want to fake the funk. They don't want to deal with what's going on. What's the heart of the matter? What's really going on? You want to front like everything is fine. Oh, Merry Christmas! Oh, Happy Holiday! And your heart is sick. Your heart is hurt. You don't want to deal with that. You don't want to deal with that. You want to front. The Bible tells us to recall yesteryear. The recollection of history should be a requirement. You should have a desire to understand what our forefathers went through, how they failed, and how they will react, and how they succeeded. Let's go to Colossians 2:8. Very familiar scripture. Because Thanksgiving is dated as a vain philosophy. A vain philosophy. Colossians 2:8.
Colossians 2, verse 8. Beware lest any man spoil you through philosophy and vain deceit,
They
after the
spoil you,
tradition of
ruin
men.
you. Beware that least any man ruin you through philosophy and vain deceit. Come on.
After the tradition of men.
Because the Most
After
High didn't command that holiday. The Most High didn't command Thanksgiving. The Most High didn't command Christmas. The Most High didn't command New Year's. Because this is the tradition of men. Come on.
after the rudiments of the world and
Come
not
on.
after Yahweh Shah.
And not after Yahweh Shai, because Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, would have never celebrated the slaughter of his own people. He wouldn't have done it. He wouldn't have celebrated the mass slaughter of his own people. Let's get Leviticus 18 and 30. Leviticus 18, brothers and sisters.
Leviticus 18, verse 30. Therefore
Yes.
shall ye keep mine ordinance, that ye commit not any one of these abominable customs which were committed before you,
Come
and
on.
that ye defile not yourselves therein. I am the Most High Yah.
You're defiling yourself when you celebrate these holidays. It's a defilement. You make yourself unclean and defiled. The Most High didn't tell you to celebrate this days. Not just because he didn't want you to. He didn't command you to keep those holidays, them holidays. Those are not the days. And speaking of Thanksgiving, over 80% of the indigenous population was slaughtered for this land we call America, the United States of America. And it goes unremembered by the mass majority of people. That's why I said earlier they call it something Friendship Day, Friendsgiving, or something like that. It goes unremembered because now you trying to make this thing something else. It's not. You had 77 million Native Americans killed in the Americas. 77 million either killed or enslaved. Let me get it right. 77 million either killed or enslaved. You have 100 million Israelites marginalized and taken from either Europe or the west coast of Africa and enslaved. If we take into account the Western Hemisphere in its totality, that's 200 million natives were either killed or enslaved. Let's get Micah the second chapter, and let's get verses 1 and 2. That's 200 million people. Micah 2, verses 1 and 2.
Micah 2, verses 1 and 2. Woe to them that devise iniquity and work evil upon their beds. When the morning is light, they practice it because it is in the power of their hand.
They practiced this, they practiced that evil because they had the power to do it.
And they
What
covet
was in
fear.
their hand? Devising iniquity. Devising is an act of planning, inventing, and contriving. They would sit back and say, you know what? We could take these people. With the advent of gunpowder and weapons of war, we can take these people. Verse 2.
And they covet fields and take them by violence, and
Mhm.
houses and take them away. So they oppress a man in his house,
They
even
oppress
in
a man in his house, meaning what? They oppress the people. Because if you oppress a man of his house, you oppress him and his family. This is what they've been doing since the 1500s, oppressing a man and his whole entire family and his lineage. Come on.
so they oppress a man in his house,
Uh-huh.
even a man in his heritage.
And his whole heritage, his lineage. They oppress him, his descendants. The American Indian Holocaust, known as the 500-Year War, and the world's longest Holocaust in the history of mankind. They always want to talk about that Holocaust that happened, the quote unquote Holocaust, Jewish Holocaust that happened in the 1940s, 1930s and the 1940s. Nothing can compare to what we've already seen. The difference between that Holocaust and the Holocaust that we're going into is that Holocaust was televised. This Holocaust was not. In the history of mankind, along with chattel slavery, watch this number. This is a big number. 3 million deaths out of the transatlantic slave trade. What most folk try to do is separate the Native American experience and the so-called African American experience. They try to separate the two, but according to the scriptures, there is no separation of them. We're gonna get as we go along. You're gonna see that. Jeremiah. Let's go to Jeremiah 50 first. Let's go to Jeremiah 50 and start at verse 33. I want verses 33 and 34.
Jeremiah 50, 33 and 34. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together.
Was what?
Oppressed together.
Oppressed together. Oppressed together. Both kingdoms oppressed together. Come on.
And all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go.
Read.
Their Redeemer is strong.
Mm-hmm.
The Most High is his name.
Come on.
He shall thoroughly plead their cause, and he may give rest to the land and disquiet the inhabitants of Babylon.
So the southern kingdom and the northern kingdom will find themselves in the place enslaved and oppressed together. Now, let's get into it. Now, what happened with the Native Americans is the same thing that happened with the so-called African Americans. There's no denying it. We wasn't taught that the Native Americans of the United States and Canada was exterminated. We were taught that they were, but not to the extent that they were. If you take into account North America, you take into account Canada, Central America, South America. The death toll just in Canada and America alone is 95 million to 114 million. The American Holocaust, by D. Standard of Oxford, 1992, over 100 million is accounted just for Christopher Columbus. Just think about that. Think about you being a person who history can attach 100 million deaths to. You're a monster. You are more than a monster. But you have a, what do you have in the United States? You have a Christopher Columbus Day, right? You have a Columbus Day. He's celebrated as America's national hero, as one of the premier founders of America. I don't know how you can, and I say it all the time, I don't know how you can find something when somebody is already there. Brian, that's like me going to your car while you in it and it's running, and I say, look at this car I found. You know, I drag you out the car and get in it, and when the police stop me, I say, I found this. $100 million killed. Christopher Columbus murdered personally, it is stated, by a collective of memoirs. Collectively, he is personally murdered 500,000 natives. Good night. You have to understand why we rail against this man. So this man personally killed, overseeing the deaths of, personally, over 500,000 people. Imagine the mind you have to have, the mind state you have to do this. D. Standard of Oxford, Oxford Press quotes, Native Americans have the highest mortality rate in any U.S. minority because of U.S. action, the policy, because of U.S. action and policy. The biggest killers, though, were smallpox, measles, influenza, whooping cough, dysentery, typhus, bubonic plague, cholera, scarlet fever, all imported by European colonists. So these all came over on the ships. They brought all of the sicknesses and disease because they didn't bathe properly or clean themselves properly. The Oxford English Dictionary defines genocide as deliberate and systematic extermination of any ethnic national group. The UN General Assembly adopted this term and defended it in 1946 as a denial of right of existence of entire human groups. Most people tend to associate genocide with wholesale slaughter of a specific group. However, it comes in different forms throughout society. So this is what, let me read this part here. In 1994, the UN Convention on the Punishment and Prevention of the Crime of Genocide describes genocide beyond the outright murder of people as the destruction of extermination of culture. Article 2 of the convention lists 5 categories of activity as genocidal and directed against specific national, ethnic, racial, and religious groups. These are the 5 in which they call genocide. Now, these 5 have been implemented and have plagued our people, both Northern and Southern Kingdom. And the agenda has been pushed throughout the years, which caused a state of oppression. Are y'all following me? These things cause a state of oppression and keep you there. perpetually, where you do not understand, oh, I'm oppressed. That's what's causing me to be depressed. Number one, the killing of a group. That's a given. You come in and you kill a whole town full of folk. That's been done both to Northern Kingdom and Southern Kingdom, causing serious bodily or mental harm to members of the group. That's been done as well. Deliberately inflicting on the group conditions. Now, I want everybody to understand, when Tulsa, Oklahoma happened in 1921, that was an act of genocide. You have to put things in perspective, because people don't understand what's happening. They lose sight of what's going on. Tulsa, Oklahoma was an act of genocide. They essentially wiped those people out. They killed those people, they maimed those people, they displaced those people. That's an act of genocide. The same thing happened to Native Americans prior to 1921, and not too long before. Number three, to bring about its physical destruction in a whole part, imposing measures intended to prevent births within that group. What's some of the measures that you can say today that's imposed? Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood is imposed upon a specific group. And the reason why you can say that is because Planned Parenthood is put in every major city where there's a great concentration of our people. This is planned outside of what's being done at the hospitals. Understand that those shots they giving your babies, that's a plan. That's something in that shot to prevent your child from having children, to sterilize your kid. Certain foods are being added into certain chemicals are being added into the foods to help sterilize your babies. Y'all think y'all think I'm reaching? I need you to do your own research, because I won't go into it. We'll be here all night. Do your own research, and you'll come to find out that there's certain foods that's in our neighborhood that's set up to sterilize our babies. They don't even know how we still making children like we are, like rabbits making babies. What was I on? Number 4? Number 5, to forcibly transferring children of a group to another group. Forcibly transferring the children of a group to another group. Meaning that's the reason why you see a lot of white couples, white and gay couples that can adopt our children. This is another part of that genocide. All right. Let's get Psalm 55. Because this definitely is an unjust system. And Black and brown folks are psychologically being destroyed in this unjust system. This genocide is deliberate extermination of our ethnic group by another. Let's get Psalms 55 and start at verse 20 and 21.
Psalms 55, verses 20 and 21.
Mm-hmm.
He hath put forth his hands against such as be at peace with him.
Come
He
on.
hath broken his covenant.
Mm-hmm.
The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
The whole time, war is in this man's heart. War's in this man's heart. When he's making laws, when he's in Congress making laws, seeming though he's at peace, because his words are smoother than butter. The whole time he's thinking about how he's going to destroy you. And why wouldn't he? Some of y'all have to wake up. Why wouldn't this man be in power and set himself up to stay in power? Why wouldn't he? Only black and brown folks have the we are the world mentality. It's only us. We want everybody to come along for the ride. We want everybody to come along. Come on. We are the world. We are the children. We the only want to think like that. Know what they think? We are on top. And we're going to stay on top. Read on.
Psalm 55:21. The words of his mouth were smoother than butter, but war was in his heart.
Come
His
on.
words were softer than oil, yet were they drawn swords.
Were they drawn swords? Their words are drawn swords. Listen what Columbus wrote. This is from his own mouth. This is from his own memoirs. This is his own quote. Columbus wrote in his journal, I could have conquered the whole of them with 50 men. That's some arrogancy for you right there. You just heard how many millions of people was there. But he said, I could take them all. All I need is 50 men to take them all. I could have conquered the whole of them with 50 men and governed them as I please. After Columbus had surveyed the Caribbean region, he returned to Spain to prepare his invasion of the Americas. From accounts of his second voyage, we can begin to understand that the New World represented to Columbus and his men, it offered them life without limits, unbridled freedom. Columbus took the title Admiral of the Ocean Sea, and proceeded to unleash, watch this, and proceeded to unleash a reign of terror unlike anything seen before or since. When he was finished, 8 million Arawaks, virtually the entire native population of Hispaniola, had been exterminated by torture, murder, forced labor is slavery, starvation, disease, and despair. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody. That's what you celebrate. That's what you celebrate. A Spanish missionary, Bartholomew de las Casas, described firsthand how the Spaniards terrorized the natives. Las Casas gave numerous eyewitnesses accounts and repeated mass murder and routine sadistic torture. As Barry Lopez has accurately summarized it, one day in front of the Casas, the Spanish dismembered, beheaded, or raped 3,000 people. Such inhumanities and barbarisms were committed in my sight, he says, as no age can parallel. Get your turkey out, your cranberry sauce. The Howard Shah would have never celebrated the mass murder of his own people. Let's get Jeremiah, the 30th chapter. Jeremiah 30. Let's get verses 7 through 10.
Jeremiah 37-10. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith the Most High of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, and will burst thy bonds, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him,
Come on.
but they shall serve the Most High Yah, and David their king, whom I will raise up unto them.
Come on.
Therefore fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith the Most High. Neither be dismayed, O Israel, for lo, I will save thee from afar, and thy seed from the land of their captivity. And Jacob shall return, and shall be in rest, and be quiet, and none shall make him afraid.
And none shall make us afraid. All praises to the Most High. All praises to the Most High. Let me share my screen. I don't know why I went out. The other picture?
That was rest of
Yeah, that's the one I need.
Is there a present button? Yeah, bottom right. Present it. See, put it to the.
Yeah, everyone see that?
Uh,
All right. Do you see this gentleman right here? If you can call him that. You know what? I'm not gonna call him a gentleman. You understand? I'm gonna call him a monster. You see this monster with the baby in his hand? Is getting ready to bash this baby's head up against the rock. At the bottom, it says the Spaniards took babies from their mother's breasts, grabbing them by the feet and smashing their heads against the rocks. They built alongside. Hold on, before I get that, let's get Psalms 137 right quick.
137 and what?
137 and the verse start at verse 7. Start at verse 7.
Psalms 137, verse 7. Remember, O Master, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof.
Come on.
O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed,
Come on.
happy shall he be that rewardeth thee as thou hast served us.
You did what you did to us. We're gonna be happy to serve you like unto this as well. Come on.
Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against the stones.
You dash our little ones against the stone, we're gonna dash your little ones against the stone. This is what they did. They picked the babies up by the feet and rammed their head against the stone. They snatched the babies from the breasts of their mothers and bashed their head up against the stone. What kind of monsters even think of that? That's your initial thought. The Bible says we're gonna be happy to do the same thing. Let's go back to the image. The image says they built a long goblet low enough for the toes to touch the ground and prevent strangling. So they'd be on their tiptoes, trying not to be strangled, and hung 13 natives at a time in honor of Christ, our Savior, and the 12 apostles. So in recognition of the 12 apostles and Christ, they hung up 13 men. Then straw was wrapped around their torn bodies because they used dogs to tear them apart. And y'all remember that scene in Django? Y'all watched the movie Django with Jamie Foxx? You remember when they said Dark Canyon was the dog's name, and they tore the slave apart? Y'all remember that part? Anybody in Detroit too? Y'all don't remember that part of the movie? Yeah, that was a regular thing. That's what they did. They used their dogs to tear slaves apart. They wrapped straw around their torn bodies and then were burned alive. Look at this monster right here, blowing on the fire right here. Blowing on the fire. Let's get to the next slide. I left it up there so you all could look at it, so it could seep in. But some people used to, like my grandmother used to say, some people don't believe fat meat is greasy. So this was not occasional violence. Well, maybe they did this sometimes. This was not occasional violence. This was a prolonged campaign of brutality. They had a policy of torture and mass murder that continued for centuries and still yet today continues. This is what they would do. They would cut the hands off of the slaves, the older ones and the younger ones. The babies would wave. If the babies would not wave, I'm sorry, to say hello, they would take their hand and cut their hands off. This was a policy of torture and mass murder. But this is what folks next week is getting ready to celebrate. They're going to have your babies at the school making turkeys and talking about how nice the Pilgrims was. Let me come out of there. They had a policy, brothers and sisters. And this stuff gets down in your DNA. This is why we're an oppressive people. This is why we are a people that's marginalized and forgotten about in the shadows of society. Because this type of behavior gets down in your DNA. In the 1980s, under President Ronald Reagan and George Bush, the U.S. government knowingly gave direct aid to genocidal campaigns that murdered tens of thousands of Mayan Indians, people in Guatemala, El Salvador, and elsewhere. The pattern still holds. The pattern still holds, brothers and sisters. And still, in 2003, the genocide continues in Colombia, El Salvador, and Guatemala. Another deliberate and systematic extermination of an ethnic group and national group. Hold on, I think I need one of those. I think I might have. Here we go. Here we go. Let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 32 right quick. Deuteronomy 28:32.
Deuteronomy 28, verse 32. Thy sons and thy daughters shall be given unto another people, and
Mm-hmm.
thine eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there
Uh-huh.
shall be no might in thine hands.
Your sons and your daughters shall be given into another people. We just alluded to this earlier today, earlier in the lesson, as well as the forced assimilation of the Native Americans. Forced assimilation of Native Americans. We here in this country, when did we start to begin to assimilate? Somebody give me the date. At what point did we really start to assimilate into this country? Anybody know? Because it's fairly recent. Nobody? 60s?
60s,
I'll say
With,
the
with in the 50s and the 60s with the end of desegregation? When we started to assimilate into this country, this was, I mean, this man is slick, boy. Can you imagine what we had before we assimilated with them? Do you know there was black universities built when we were desegregated? Right, when we were segregated. How many black universities was built after segregation? Not a one. Not a one. We did more under segregation than we did out of segregation. Can I be heard? Can I be heard?
God.
Okay, all praises. All right. Let me come out of that. Let's get Deuteronomy 28 and 31. I think we already went through 32, but I want to go back to 31. 28, 31 through 33.
Deuteronomy 28, 31 through 33.
Mm-hmm.
Thine ox shall be thine eyes. I'm sorry. Thine ox shall be slain before thine eyes, and thou shalt not eat thereof. Thine ass shall be violently taken away from before thy face.
Come
It
on.
shall not be restored to thee. Thy,
It shall
thy,
not be restored to thee. Come on.
thy sheep shall be given unto thine enemies, and thou shalt have none to rescue them. Thy
Mm-hmm.
son and thy daughter shall be given unto another people, and thine eyes shall look and fill with longing for them all the day long, and there shall
All
be
the
no might in thine hands. The fruit of
all
thy
right.
land.
So was that 33?
No, this is 33.
All right, go
The
ahead.
fruit, the fruit of thy land and all thy laborers shall a nation which thou knowest not eat up, and thou shalt be only oppressed and crushed always.
And only oppressed and that wasn't just the oppression back then. That's oppression now. That's oppression now. Right now, we still feeling the same effects of what happened then. We're feeling it now. We still in an oppressive regime under a oppressive system right now. Let me share my screen with you guys because we have a lot of colorism going on in within Israel too. A lot of colorism. A lot of folks saying, "I don't believe that they Israelites." We got a lot of colorism. The original Central Americas. This is what the majority of what the people looked like when Columbus got over here. Original Central Americas. The Caribbean islands is 700 islands, approximately 45 to 50 million people. Look at what these people look like. These is Negroid people. It was over here. You have some light skin, some dark skin, some with kinky hair, some with a little bit straighter hair, curly hair. This is Cuba. This is Cuba right here. Cuba military students. Cuba is the largest island of the Caribbean with the area of 42,426 square miles and the second most populous after Hispaniola, Haiti, and Dominican Republic. With over 11 million inhabitants, over 80% which are Black or mulatto, both as in most of the world. The majority of albinos, meaning white folks, are in most rulership positions. The desired identity with those who rule causes most inhabitants to declare themselves white. So these folks right here, including the darkest of these folks, will be saying that they white. This is an oppressive mind state. Go and ask the Dominicans. Ask them, are they black? Are they black? A lot of them will say no. I know, Marengo, I know black.
Black.
Yeah. But because we have been destroyed, our minds have been destroyed, we have a lot of colorism throughout our people. Even with us, we don't believe that, some of us don't believe that none of us, the only of us that come, the Israelites came from just Africa alone. This is insane. We were scattered to the violently scattered to the four corners of the earth. Violently. The Bible says, I shipped you like wheat to the four corners. We're everywhere. Let's see what, this is a drawing. This is the original South American. This is a drawing. This is a drawing of what they seen when they got here. Look at the afro on this person here. This image here. This is a drawing of what they ran into, what Columbus ran into. Here's some more picture of cultural genocide right here. At one point, they looked like was dressed in native apparel. The next point, it was dressed up in European apparel. It says, let me get a quote, I don't know to quote the General Richard Pratt. It says, a great general has said that the only good Indian is a dead one. He says, in a sense, I agree with the sentiment. All the Indian there is in the race should be dead, killed. The Indian in him, and save the man, Richard Pratt. So this is what they did. You think they did that to them and didn't do it to us? What did Jeremiah say? We oppress together in this oppressive state together. Look here. Let's get Isaiah 65:10. We're almost done. Isaiah 65:10-12.
Isaiah 65, 10 through 12.
Uh-huh.
And Sharon shall be a fold of flocks,
Mm-hmm.
and the valley of Achor, a place for the herds to lie down in.
A
For my
temporary
people,
place of rest. Come on.
for my people that have sought me. But ye are they that forsake the Most High,
Come on.
that forget my holy mountain, that
Mhm.
prepare a table for that troop,
Come on.
and that furnish the drink offering unto that number.
This is that truth right here that the Bible is talking about. This is that truth. Those men right here. right here. They did the same thing to us on the I don't know what side. On my side, I'm looking at the screen. On the left-hand side, they hung a black man. But these are, and on the right-hand side, they are killing Native Americans. It's this at the same time. It's the same time frame. One was on the East Coast, the other one was on the West Coast, or in the Midwest. It's the same time frame. They're doing the same thing. Did you see the burnt body there on the right, on the left-hand side? That's a Native American on the ground, burnt up on the ground. This is this so-called African American in the tree that's burnt up. Same time frame, same people. We have to learn to stop separating each other. They did it to us, they did it to them. They went through the same curses we went through. The exact same thing. Isaiah 65 and 12.
Isaiah 65, verse 12. Therefore will I number you to the sword, and ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. When I spoke, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
When we chose wherein he delighted not. Did we get Jeremiah 50 and 33 already? Let's get that. Jeremiah 50 and 33. I thought we did. But perhaps not.
Jeremiah 50 and 33. Thus saith the Most High of hosts, the children of Israel and the children of Judah were oppressed together, and all that took them captive held them fast. They refused to let them go.
So, brothers and sisters, we are held together in this country. We have to get that out of our minds. We have to stop fighting one another. We have to stop fighting each other, and we have to hold fast to one another, to what we believe. Now, I'm not talking about the unbeliever. They do whatever they want. But if you're a believer, hold fast to what you believe. And we have to come together as a people. Come together as a people. Let's help one another. Let's love each other. Let's do for one another. All right, we're going to leave it right there. All praises to the Most High. If you're joining us by social media, we thank you for joining us. For those of you that's in Detroit, give us a second. When you have any questions, comments, or concerns, I'll be happy to answer your questions. For the rest of you, I thank you. God bless you. Have a smile upon you. Give you peace. Shalom, shalom.